The massive station hung in space like a jewel made of metal and light. Nexus Prime was the center of galactic politics, home to the council that ruled over 15 different alien species. Kate Sullivan stood in the waiting chamber, her hands clasped behind her back as she stared out at the stars. Beside her, Jake Morrison checked his uniform for the third time. "Stop fidgeting," Kate said quietly. "We need to look confident." Jake nodded but didn't stop adjusting his collar. They had traveled for 6 months to reach this place. 50 years ago, humanity had made first contact with the Zentari species. Since then, humans had learned faster than light travel, built colonies on 12 different worlds, and tried desperately to prove they belonged among the stars. Today was the day they would find out if the galaxy agreed. The doors opened with a soft hiss. Kate walked forward, her shoes clicking on the crystal floor. The council chamber was enormous, with seats arranged in a circle around a central platform. Each seat held a different alien species. Some looked almost human. Others were so strange that Kate had to force herself not to stare. At the highest seat sat High Arbiter Vexthor. His body was made of living crystal that glowed with soft blue light. When he spoke, his voice sounded like wind chimes. "Ambassador Sullivan, Commander Morrison, welcome to the council. Please state your purpose." Kate stepped onto the central platform. Lights focused on her from every direction. "Honored council members, I come before you today to formally request that humanity be granted membership in the Galactic Council. We believe we have earned this right through our achievements and our commitment to peace." She activated a holographic display. Images of Earth appeared, showing great cities and beautiful landscapes. Then came images of human colonies, space stations, and ships. In just 300 years, humanity has developed faster than light technology. We have terraformed hostile worlds and made them livable. We have reached out to every species we have encountered with friendship and respect. A harsh voice interrupted her. "You have also warred among yourselves constantly." The speaker was Counselor Drakim, a reptilian creature with scales that gleamed like oil. "Your planet still bears the scars of nuclear weapons. Your colonies fight over resources. Your history is written in blood." Kate kept her voice steady. "We do not deny our past, but we have learned from it. We have grown. Is that not what progress means?" Vexthor raised one crystalline hand. "The Council will review your species file. Please wait." The next hour felt like an eternity. Kate and Jake stood in silence while the Council members read through humanity's entire history. They saw the displays light up with data, population numbers, technological achievements, cultural developments, and yes, conflicts and wars. So many wars. Finally, Vexthor spoke again. "Humanity has accomplished much in a short time. This is true. However, the Council must consider many factors. You are still young as a spacefaring species. 300 years is barely a moment in galactic terms. The Zentari have traveled the stars for 10,000 years, the Sauroch for 8,000. Even our youngest member species had achieved space travel for 2,000 years before joining." "But we are ready now," Kate said, unable to stop herself. "We have so much to offer." "What do you offer?" Drakim leaned forward, his eyes cold. "Your technology is primitive. Your territory is small. Your culture is fractured and chaotic. You consume your resources without thought for tomorrow. You fight over ideas and beliefs that mean nothing in the greater universe." Jake stepped forward. "We offer our determination, our creativity, our willingness to adapt and learn." "Words," Drakim hissed. "Nothing but words. The galaxy has no need for another young species that thinks too highly of itself." Vexthor's light dimmed slightly. "The Council will now vote on humanity's application for membership. All in favor of accepting humanity, signal now." Kate held her breath. The chamber fell silent. Not a single light appeared. Not one vote in humanity's favor. All opposed, signal now. 15 lights blazed to life. Every single council member voted against humanity. Kate felt the world spin around her. Jake's face had gone pale. They had expected some opposition, maybe even a close vote. But this? Complete and total rejection? Vexthor stood, his crystalline body casting rainbow patterns across the floor. The council has spoken unanimously. Humanity's application for membership is denied. Furthermore, by the power invested in this council, we declare the following. Humanity shall remain confined to their current territory. No expansion beyond your existing 12 systems will be permitted. Contact with council species will be limited to essential diplomatic and trade functions. This quarantine will remain in effect until such time as humanity demonstrates significant cultural and technological advancement. This is a prison sentence, Kate said, her voice shaking with anger. This is a protection, Vexthor replied. For you and for the galaxy. You are not ready, Ambassador Sullivan. Perhaps in another 1,000 years you will be. Drakim stood as well, his voice filled with contempt. Humans are insignificant. You war among yourselves like primitive animals. You consume your worlds without wisdom. You have nothing to offer the galactic community except chaos and violence. You are children playing with fire, and we will not let you burn down everything we have built. Go back to your small corner of space and grow up. If you survive that long. The other council members murmured their agreement. Some looked at Kate with pity, others with indifference, none with respect. Kate wanted to scream, to rage, to demand they reconsider. But she knew it would change nothing. She had failed. Humanity had failed. She turned and walked toward the exit, Jake following close behind. The doors closed behind them with a sound like a tomb sealing shut. In the corridor, Jake finally spoke. What do we tell them? What do we tell Earth? Kate stared at the floor, her eyes burning with tears she refused to shed. We tell them the truth. The galaxy thinks we're nothing. We're insects to them, insignificant. The word echoed in her mind as they walked back to their ship. Insignificant. It would haunt humanity for years to come. But neither Kate nor Jake could know that this word, this rejection, would one day come back to shame those who spoke it. The galaxy had made its judgment on humanity. Time would reveal how wrong that judgment truly was. 5 years had passed since the rejection. Earth and its colonies had grown quieter, more isolated. The council species stopped visiting human space. Trade dried up to almost nothing. Humanity was alone, locked in their 12 systems like prisoners in a cage they couldn't see but always felt. Captain Ryan Blake sat in the command chair of his ship, the Horizon's Edge. They were on the outer rim of human territory, mapping the last unexplored areas before the invisible wall that marked their prison. His crew had been out here for 3 months, finding nothing but empty space and rocks. Captain, we're picking up something strange, said his navigator, a young woman named Lucy Park. There's a structure out here. It's huge. Ryan sat up straight. Can you identify it? Is it Council? Negative, sir. The design doesn't match any known species, and according to our scans, it's old, really old. Ryan ordered the ship forward. As they approached, the structure came into view on the main screen. It was a station, easily 3 times the size of anything humanity had ever built. But it was dark and dead, floating in the void like a ghost ship. This is incredible, whispered Dr. Lisa Chen, the ship's science officer. She was already scanning every inch of the station. Captain, these readings don't make sense. This technology is far beyond anything the Council has. Whoever built this was more advanced than any species we know. Ryan made his decision quickly. Prepare a boarding team. I want to know what's inside that station. 2 hours later, Ryan and Lisa walked through the dark corridors of the alien station. Their flashlights cut through the darkness, revealing walls covered in strange symbols and technology that hummed with faint power despite centuries of abandonment. The air was stale but breathable. Someone had built this place to last forever. They found the central chamber by following the only lights that still worked. The room was massive, filled with equipment that looked like nothing human scientists had ever imagined. In the center stood a pedestal with a glowing crystal. Lisa approached it carefully. "Captain, I think this is a data core. If I'm right, it contains all the knowledge of whoever built this place." Her hands shook as she connected her scanner to the crystal. Data flooded across her screen. So much information that her equipment nearly overloaded. "What is it?" Ryan asked. "What did you find?" "Everything," Lisa breathed. "Dimensional drive systems that could cross the galaxy in hours, matter synthesis technology that could create anything from pure energy, weapons that could crack planets, medical technology that could cure any disease. Captain, this is a treasure beyond anything we could have imagined." Ryan felt his heart racing. "Can we use it?" "Maybe. It'll take years to understand it all, but yes, I think we can." They spent 3 days exploring the station, taking everything they could carry and recording everything they couldn't. When the Horizon's Edge finally left, its cargo holds were full of alien technology, and its computers held enough data to keep human scientists busy for decades. Ryan filed his official report carefully. He mentioned the station and its location, but kept the details vague. Something told him that humanity needed to keep this discovery secret. If the Council knew about this technology, they would take it. They would say humans weren't ready for it, weren't worthy of it. Just like they said humans weren't worthy of joining the Council. Meanwhile, at Nexus Prime, the Council had other concerns. High Arbiter Vexthor stood before a map of the galaxy, staring at the outer rim. Strange signals had been detected there, signals that matched no known species. 3 Zentari mining colonies had gone silent. A Sarok prison planet had been found abandoned, its population of 10,000 simply gone without a trace. "We sent the Harmony fleet to investigate," reported a military commander, a beetle-like creature named Kickstar. "They found nothing but scorched earth and debris. Whatever hit those colonies did so with overwhelming force. No survivors, no messages, nothing." Vexthor's light flickered with worry. "Have we identified the attackers?" "No, High Arbiter, but the pattern suggests they're moving toward the core worlds, toward us." The Council met in emergency session. For the first time in centuries, fear filled the chamber. They spoke of increasing patrols, building more ships, preparing defenses. No one mentioned the humans quarantined in their small corner of space. Humanity was still insignificant in the Council's eyes, not worth including in their concerns. Back on Earth, Kate Sullivan read the reports coming in from her intelligence sources. She had maintained contacts within the Council despite the quarantine. What she learned made her blood run cold. Something was coming, something that scared even the mighty Galactic Council. She called Admiral Kyle Foster, the head of Earth's defense fleet. They met in a secure room deep underground. "We need to prepare," Kate said. "The Council is worried, and they never worry. Whatever's out there is dangerous." Kyle nodded slowly. He was an old soldier with gray hair and tired eyes. "Our fleet is small and outdated compared to theirs. If something can scare the Council, what chance do we have?" "Maybe none," Kate admitted, "but we prepare anyway." "It's what we do." Kyle pulled up a classified file on his data pad. "There's something you should know. One of our exploration ships found ancient technology at the edge of our territory, extremely advanced. We've been studying it in secret." Kate's eyes widened. "How advanced?" "Beyond anything the Council has. We're not ready to use most of it yet, but we're learning fast. If we have a few more years, we might be able to build something that could actually make a difference." Do you think the Council would allow us to help if this threat reaches them? Kyle laughed bitterly. They declared us insignificant, Kate. They locked us in a cage. Why would they want our help? He paused. But maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe we help anyway. Kate stared at him. Even after what they did to us? Even after they humiliated us? Especially after that, Kyle said, because it's the right thing to do. And maybe, just maybe, we can show them that being human means something, that we're not insignificant at all. Far out on the galactic rim, in the darkness between stars, something vast stirred. Ships that were not ships, minds that were not minds, a hunger that could never be satisfied. The Devourers had found the galaxy, and they were coming. The Council's centuries of peace were about to end in fire and blood, and humanity, dismissed and forgotten, would soon face a choice. Watch their oppressors burn, or prove that insignificant creatures could do significant things. The answer would change the galaxy forever. The attack came without warning. One moment, the galaxy was at peace. The next, 1,000 worlds screamed in terror. The Devourers had arrived. Admiral Kyle Foster watched the emergency broadcast from Nexus Prime. High Arbiter Vex Thor appeared on the screen, his crystalline body flickering with distress. This is an emergency transmission to all member species of the Galactic Council. We are under attack by an unknown force. The Zentari homeworld has fallen. The Sawrock defensive lines have been broken. We are calling all capable species to defend the galaxy. Past differences are set aside. All sentient beings must unite or perish. The transmission ended. Kyle stood in Earth's command center, surrounded by military officers and government leaders. Everyone was silent, processing what they had just witnessed. The Council, that mighty organization that had dismissed humanity so completely, was begging for help. "What do we do?" "Sir?" asked a young officer. Kate Sullivan stood in the back of the room. She had rushed to the command center as soon as the alert came through. "They rejected us," she said quietly. "They called us insignificant. They locked us away like animals in a cage. We owe them nothing." Kyle looked at her, then at the star map showing the advancing enemy. Red markers indicated fallen worlds. There were so many. "You're right. We owe them nothing." He paused. "But what kind of people would we be if we let billions die because of pride?" Kate met his eyes. She saw the answer there, the same answer that had defined humanity for all its bloody history. When faced with darkness, humans ran toward it, not away from it. Even when it was stupid, even when it was suicidal, especially then. "Mobilize the fleet," Kyle ordered. "Every ship, every crew. We're going to war." Within hours, 72 human warships left their stations. They were old ships, small ships, built with outdated technology and crewed by men and women who knew they were probably flying to their deaths. But they went anyway. Commander Jake Morrison commanded one of those ships, the defender vessel called the Defiant. He had returned to military service the moment war broke out. As his ship jumped toward the front lines, he thought about that day 5 years ago when the Council had rejected humanity. He remembered the contempt in Drakim's voice. Insignificant. The word still stung. The human fleet arrived at the collapsing front lines to find chaos. Council ships were burning in space. Escape pods floated everywhere, filled with survivors that no one had time to rescue. And the Devourers were everywhere. They weren't ships in any normal sense. They were machines, but machines that moved like living things. Black as space itself, covered in weapons that tore through shields like paper. Worst of all, they learned. Every tactic used against them was countered within minutes. The Council fleet, with its rigid formations and standard tactics, was being slaughtered. "All ships, this is Admiral Foster." Kyle's voice came across every human radio. Deploy the new weapons. Show them what humanity brought to this fight. The precursor technology that Ryan Blake had discovered was finally ready. Not all of it, not even most of it, but enough. Human ships suddenly blazed with weapons that the Devourers had never seen before. Energy beams that phased through their armor, missiles that created small dimensional rifts, shields that bent reality itself. Jake watched as his weapons tore through a Devourer ship that had already destroyed 3 Council vessels. The machine tried to adapt, but it took time. Time that Jake didn't give it. "Target their central structure," he ordered. "Hit them before they figure us out." The Defiant fired again and again. The Devourer exploded in a flash of blue light. All across the battle, human ships were making a difference. Not winning, the enemy was too strong for that, but stopping the bleeding, buying time. Captain Emma Davis led her fighter squadron through a gap in the Devourer lines, taking out their targeting systems with precision strikes. Lieutenant Ben Harris and his ground troops held a colony world long enough for 2 million civilians to evacuate, fighting the Devourer machines in brutal close combat. On Nexus Prime, Vex Thor watched the battle reports in amazement. "The humans," he whispered. "They came. After everything we said to them, they came." Counselor Drakim stood beside him, watching the same displays. He saw human ships throwing themselves between Council vessels and enemy fire. He saw them using tactics that made no logical sense, but somehow worked. He saw them dying in droves to save species that had mocked them. "I don't understand," Drakim said. "Why would they help us?" A transmission came through from the human fleet. Kate Sullivan appeared on screen. She was aboard one of the command ships, her face streaked with dirt and exhaustion. "High Arbiter Vex Thor. Ambassador Sullivan reporting. The human fleet has engaged the enemy. We're holding the line." "Ambassador." Vex Thor's voice was filled with emotion that his species rarely showed. "You came. We did not expect. We do not deserve." "You don't," Kate cut him off. "You called us insignificant. You locked us away. You treated us like children who couldn't be trusted." "And you were wrong." She paused. "But that doesn't matter right now. What matters is that there are billions of innocent people dying. People who had nothing to do with the Council's decision, children, families. They don't deserve to die because their leaders were cruel." "What do you need from us?" Vex Thor asked. "Coordinates, intelligence, and a promise that when this is over, things will change." Kate's eyes were hard. "We're not doing this for you. We're doing this because it's right. Remember that." The transmission ended. Jake received new orders moments later. The human fleet was to take point in the next major engagement. They were to hold a key position while Council forces regrouped. It was the most dangerous assignment possible. "They're using us as cannon fodder," muttered Jake's second-in-command. "Maybe," Jake replied. "Or maybe they finally realized that humans are good at one thing, not giving up when any sane species would run away." He opened a channel to his crew. "All hands, prepare for heavy combat. We're about to find out if we're really as stubborn as everyone says." The Devourers came in waves. Jake's ship shook as weapons fire hammered their shields. He saw 2 human ships explode on his screen, their crews gone in an instant. But the line held. More Devourers fell. The enemy pressed harder. The humans pressed back. And somewhere in that desperate battle, something changed. The galaxy had declared humans insignificant. But in that moment, with human blood being spilled to save alien lives, with human courage holding back the darkness, the word lost its meaning. Insignificant creatures don't sail into hell to save their enemies. Insignificant creatures don't stand when standing means dying. The battle raged for 3 days. When it finally ended, 21 human ships were gone. But the line had held. The Council had time to regroup. And for the first time since the war began, The Devourers had been stopped. Not defeated, but stopped. It was enough. For now, it was enough. 18 months had passed since humanity joined the war. 18 months of blood, fire, and death. The galaxy burned, but it still stood. Barely. Human space had become the rallying point for the entire Council. Earth's orbital facilities worked day and night, building weapons and ships for dozens of alien species. Human engineers taught Council workers how to use the precursor technology. Human doctors treated wounded aliens in hospitals that overflowed with the dying, and human soldiers fought on every front line. Commander Jake Morrison now commanded a fleet of mixed species. His bridge crew included Zentari, Sorok, and 3 other alien races. At first, they had resented taking orders from a human. Now they followed him without question. He had earned their trust the hard way by being willing to sacrifice human ships to save theirs. "Commander, we have a situation," reported his Zentari tactical officer. "One of our supply convoys is under attack. 8 Council transports, minimal escort." Jake checked the display. The transports were carrying medical supplies to a refugee world. If they were destroyed, thousands of wounded would die. "How far?" 20 minutes at maximum speed. "But sir, we're supposed to be holding this position." Jake made his decision instantly. "Leave a small force here, everyone else with me. Those transports need help now." They arrived to find 3 Devourer ships attacking the convoy. 2 escort vessels were already destroyed. Jake's fleet hit the enemy hard and fast, using tactics he had learned from fighting these machines for months. Think like them, move like them, but stay unpredictable. The Devourers fell back, unable to adapt quickly enough. The convoy was saved. The captain of the lead transport, a Sorok named Kratesh, sent a message. "Commander Morrison, you saved our lives. My species owes you a debt." "No debt," Jake replied. "Just win this war. That's payment enough." On Earth, Dr. Lisa Chen worked with a team of Council scientists in a secret laboratory. They had made a breakthrough. The Devourers weren't random attackers. They were coordinated by a central nexus, a massive structure that controlled their entire network. Destroy the nexus, and the enemy fleet would lose coordination. They would become vulnerable. "There's a problem," Lisa explained to Admiral Kyle Foster. "The nexus is deep in Devourer-controlled space. Getting there would require passing through enemy territory for weeks. Any fleet large enough to fight its way through would be detected and destroyed." Kyle studied the star charts. "What about a small force? A stealth mission?" "Possible. But the odds of success are almost 0. And even if they reach the nexus, destroying it would require someone staying behind to manually detonate the explosives. The radiation from the nexus interferes with remote detonators." Lisa looked at him sadly. "It's a suicide mission." Kyle nodded slowly. He had led men and women into danger for 40 years. He knew what had to be done. "Find me volunteers." The call went out across the human fleet. They needed a crew for a mission that wouldn't come back. Within hours, 500 people had volunteered. Commander Sophie Grant was chosen to lead. She was a special operations expert, calm under pressure and brilliant at improvisation. Her crew of 20 included humans and aliens who understood what they were signing up for. Their ship was small and fast, equipped with experimental stealth technology. Sophie named it Last Hope. The name felt appropriate. Before they left, Sophie recorded a message for the galaxy. She stood in front of a camera, her face tired but determined. "My name is Commander Sophie Grant. My crew and I are about to attempt something that will probably kill us. I want to make sure people understand why we're doing this." She paused, choosing her words carefully. 5 years ago, the Galactic Council declared humanity insignificant. They said we were too violent, too primitive, too worthless to join them. They locked us away and told us to grow up. And you know what? Maybe they were right. Maybe humans are violent. Maybe we are primitive, but we're also stubborn. And when we see people dying, we can't just stand by and watch, even if those people hurt us, even if they hate us, because that's not what being human means. Sophie looked directly into the camera. We're not doing this to prove we're significant. We're doing this because it's right. And if that makes us insignificant in the galaxy's eyes, then I guess insignificant isn't such a bad thing to be. The last hope left 3 days later. For 4 weeks, they navigated through Devourer territory, dodging patrols and hiding in debris fields. Twice they were nearly discovered. Once they had to fight their way out of an ambush, losing 2 crew members. But they kept going. Finally, they reached the Nexus. It was massive, a structure the size of a small moon, pulsing with dark energy. Sophie's sensors counted hundreds of Devourer ships surrounding it. Getting in would be impossible, unless they were creative. "We're going to ram it," Sophie announced. Her crew stared at her. "We load the ship with every explosive we have, accelerate to maximum speed, and punch right through their defenses. The shields will protect us until impact. Once we're inside, we set the charges manually and hope we have time to make it count." It was insane. It was desperate. It was very human. The crew agreed immediately. The last hope accelerated toward the Nexus. Devourer ships moved to intercept, but the small human vessel was too fast. Weapons fire tore at their shields. Alarms screamed. Then they hit the Nexus's outer structure, and everything went dark. Sophie woke up minutes later. Her ears were ringing. Half her crew was dead, killed in the impact. The rest were injured but moving. They had maybe an hour before the Devourers broke through their crashed ship and killed them all. "Set the charges," Sophie ordered. "Every critical point, make it count." They worked in silence, placing explosives throughout the Nexus's core systems. With 10 minutes left, Sophie activated her communicator. She knew it would be picked up by both human and Council forces. "This is Commander Sophie Grant of the Last Hope. We have reached the Nexus. Charges are set. To anyone listening, I want you to remember something." Her voice was calm, almost peaceful. "Humanity isn't significant because of our technology. We're not significant because of our territory or our achievements. We're significant because of what we're willing to sacrifice. We're significant because when the universe says run, we say no. We're significant because we chose to be here, fighting for people who hate us, dying for a galaxy that rejected us, and if that's not significant, then the word has no meaning." The transmission ended. Sophie looked at her surviving crew. They nodded. Everyone knew what came next. Sophie activated the detonator. The explosion could be seen from 3 star systems away. The Nexus tore apart in a blast of energy that scattered the Devourer fleet. Across the galaxy, the enemy machines went dark, their coordination shattered. Council fleets pushed forward, driving the confused enemy back for the first time since the war began. On Nexus Prime, High Arbiter Vexithor watched the explosion on his screens. Counselor Drakim stood beside him, tears running down his reptilian face. Around them, the entire council chamber was silent. "They died for us," Drakim whispered. "Those insignificant humans died for us." The word insignificant echoed through the chamber, but this time it sounded different. This time it sounded like shame. 6 months after the destruction of the Nexus, the war ended. The Devourers, without their coordination, were hunted down and destroyed by the combined fleets of the galaxy. Victory came at a terrible price. Billions were dead. Dozens of worlds lay in ruins. Entire species had been reduced to mere thousands. The galaxy would take generations to heal. Kate Sullivan stood on Earth, looking up at a sky filled with alien ships. They came from every corner of the galaxy, representatives from all council species. Today was the day the council would reconvene. Today was the day humanity would learn its fate. Admiral Kyle Foster joined her. His hair was grayer now, his face marked by the weight of command. He had lost friends, sent people to their deaths, and made choices that would haunt him forever. But Earth still stood. Humanity had survived. "Are you ready?" Kyle asked. Kate nodded. "I've been ready for 5 years, ever since they called us insignificant." They traveled to Nexus Prime together. The station had been damaged in the war but was slowly being rebuilt. The council chamber looked different now. Many of the seats were empty. Some species had lost so many people that they could barely send a representative. The mood was heavy with grief and exhaustion. High Arbiter Vexthor called the session to order. His crystalline body looked dimmer than before, as if the war had drained his light. "We gather today to address the status of humanity. 5 years ago, this council rejected their application for membership. We declared them insignificant and confined them to their territory. Today, we must address that decision." He paused, and Kate saw something she never expected to see. Vexithor, the leader of the Galactic Council, looked ashamed. "But first, we must acknowledge the cost. In this war, humanity lost 41 of their 72 warships. They lost 20 million people. Nearly 10% of their entire military died in battles across the galaxy. They bled for worlds they had never seen, for people they had never met." Vexthor pulled up a display. It showed a list of names, human names, thousands of them. "These are the humans who gave their lives to save Council species. They died on the front lines. They died protecting evacuation ships. They died in suicide missions that bought us time to regroup. Commander Sophie Grant and her crew destroyed the Devourer Nexus, turning the tide of the war. Without them, we would have fallen." The chamber was silent. Every council member stared at the names scrolling across the display. So many names, so many lives. Councillor Drakim stood. His voice was rough with emotion. 5 years ago, I stood in this chamber and said terrible things. I called humanity insignificant. I called them children playing with fire. I said they had nothing to offer the galaxy but chaos and violence." He paused, struggling to continue. "I was wrong. I was blind. I judged them by our standards and found them wanting. But they were not measuring themselves by our standards. They were measuring themselves by far greater ones." Tears ran freely down his face now. For his species, such a display of emotion was shocking. "My homeworld was saved by human forces. When our defenses fell, when we were preparing for extinction, human ships arrived. They held the line. They died so my people could live. The captain of one of those ships was named Jake Morrison. He sacrificed his position to protect our evacuation ships. I asked him why. Why would he risk everything for us after what we had done to his people? He said, 'Because it's the right thing to do.' As if it was the simplest thing in the world. Drakim looked directly at Kate. "Ambassador Sullivan, there is no apology that can make up for what we said to you. What we did to you. We judged you insignificant and locked you away. Then, when we needed help, you came anyway. You didn't ask for thanks or rewards. You didn't demand we admit we were wrong. You just came. You fought. You died. For us." One by one, other council members stood. Each spoke of human sacrifice, human courage, human compassion. They spoke of battles where humans had thrown themselves into impossible odds. They spoke of human doctors who worked until they collapsed. They spoke of human engineers who shared their precious precursor technology instead of hoarding it. They spoke of Sophie Grant's final message, words that had been played across every world in the galaxy. Finally, Vexthor raised his hand for silence. This council was wrong. We judged humanity by our own measures and standards. We looked at their short history and saw only violence. We looked at their small territory and saw only insignificance. We did not see what they were building. We did not see their character. We did not see that they were measuring themselves by the only standard that truly matters: how we treat others when it costs us everything. He turned to Kate. Ambassador Sullivan, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I offer humanity our deepest remorse. We wronged you. We failed you. And yet you saved us. We can never repay this debt. Kate stood slowly. She had imagined this moment for 5 years. She had imagined being angry, being triumphant, making them grovel. But now that it was here, she felt only tired. You're right. You can never repay it. All those people who died, you can't bring them back. Sophie Grant, who gave her life to destroy the Nexus, she's still dead. Your remorse doesn't change that. The council members looked down, accepting her words. But Kate wasn't finished. But humanity doesn't want your remorse. We don't want your guilt. We want your partnership. We want to build a galaxy where no species is ever called insignificant again, where the measure of a civilization isn't how long they've been traveling the stars, but how they choose to use that knowledge, where young species are guided, not dismissed, where difference is celebrated, not feared. She looked around the chamber. That's what we fought for. Not revenge, not pride. We fought for a better galaxy. If you truly feel remorse, then help us build that. Vex Thor's light brightened for the first time since the war ended. Then let us begin. The Council votes now on humanity's status. All in favor of granting humanity full membership in the Galactic Council. Signal now. 15 lights blazed to life. Every single council member voted yes. Unanimous, just as the rejection had been unanimous 5 years ago. But this time the vote came with respect, with gratitude, with remorse. Furthermore, Vex Thor continued, the Council grants humanity a permanent seat at this table. Your voice will be equal to ours in all matters. The quarantine is lifted. Human territory may expand as you see fit. And we ask humbly that you help us rebuild what was lost. Kate felt tears on her face. She hadn't cried when they rejected humanity. But now, in victory, she couldn't stop. Humanity accepts. The chamber erupted in applause, alien species celebrating the admission of the creatures they had once dismissed. It would have been funny if it wasn't so tragic. 5 years, 20 million lives. That was the price of proving they belonged. Months later, Captain Ryan Blake stood on the bridge of the horizon's edge. His ship had been repaired and upgraded with the best technology the galaxy could offer. Now he was leading a mission beyond the galactic rim, a mixed crew of humans and aliens searching for other young species that might need guidance. Captain, we're detecting signals from a system ahead, reported his navigator. It looks like a pre-spaceflight civilization. They've just discovered radio. Ryan smiled. Open a data file. Let's learn about them before we make contact. And remember, we judge no one insignificant. Everyone deserves a chance. On Earth, a monument was unveiled in the capital city. It was simple, a black stone wall covered in names, human names and alien names mixed together, all the people who had died in the war, regardless of species. At the top, carved in letters that caught the light, was an inscription. Significance is not given. It is earned through courage, sacrifice, and the defiant belief that all life has value. Kate Sullivan stood before the monument with Admiral Kyle Foster and Commander Jake Morrison. Around them, thousands of humans and aliens gathered in silence. They said we were insignificant, Kate said quietly. Jake looked up at the names. Sophie Grant's name was there, along with her crew, friends he had lost, people he had commanded who never came home. They were wrong. We're not significant because of our technology or our power. We're significant because we chose to be, because when the galaxy needed help, we said yes. That's all significance is, a choice to matter. Kyle nodded. And we'll keep making that choice. Every day. until every species in this galaxy knows they matter, until no one is ever called insignificant again. They stood together as the sun set, casting long shadows across the monument. The galaxy had declared humans insignificant, and then it learned the truth. Significance isn't about power or knowledge or time. It's about character. It's about sacrifice. It's about looking at a burning galaxy and deciding to do something about it, even when every logical reason says to run away. The Council learned this lesson the hard way, and they would never forget it. The word insignificant had changed meaning in the galactic lexicon. Now it meant something else entirely. It meant underestimated. It meant dangerous to dismiss. It meant human. And the galaxy was better for it.